A year ago in 2019, I released a documentary titled The Story of Dimrain47. A few months after that video was released, Dimrain actually broke his radio silence of over 7 years and returned to the internet, updating all of his social media accounts and posting an old, previously unreleased song, The Disturbance. After his return, I messaged him asking if he will be up to do an interview. It took a long while to get done, but here it is, an interview with Dimrain47.
Long time ago. God, I must have been in middle school. So there was an old Blizzard game called Diablo, which as a little kid just scared the shit out of me. It was wonderful. It was gory and dark and graphic and terrifying as a kid my age. And I played the first game and I thought it was amazing. And then I came home from school one day and I saw my brother and he was playing a game like Diablo, but better. And I said, "What the hell are you playing? This looks like Diablo." And he's like, "Bro, it's Diablo 2. You got to check this out." And I was like, "Oh, what?" And so I sat there. I'm like, "Okay, let me see." And he's playing the game, and it's just so amazing. It's like what the first game was, but just darker and bloody, and absolutely enveloped me within 5 minutes of watching my brother play this game. And I'm like, "Ah, dude, I gotta play." So I went out and bought my own copy, and I popped the CD into my computer, and I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna start my account here. What the hell am I gonna call myself?" Like, because you have to create a Blizzard account.
Yeah.
And the opening screen for Diablo 2 was this, like, it's an encampment, it's a rogue encampment, and there's this rain coming down, and it's really foggy and dark and mysterious. And I'm like, it's dim and it's raining. Dimrain, enter. That name's taken. Okay. Well, I got to add a number to the end because that's the trend back in the 2000s, right? You always have something plus a number. And I was in this really nerdy ROTC type program because a long time ago, I actually wanted to go into the military. I wanted to go into the Navy and fly jets. But my eyesight is completely god awful. So obviously that never happened. But in preparation for, I was a part of this Air Force version of ROTC called Civil Air Patrol in San Diego, and our squadron number was number 47. So I'm like, okay, Dimrain, let's throw the 47 on the end of there. Hit enter. I was into the game, and from that point on, anytime I had an online alias that I had to create or an account for something, it's Dimrain47.
Also, what about Superbane 2?
Oh, right, yeah, I forgot that whole part. Superbane, I can't give you a clear answer on that one. I have no idea. It has nothing to do with that character from Batman, Bane. Everybody always asks me that, like, does it have something to do with Batman? And I'm like, not really. I just came up with two words together that I thought sounded cool. And then when I started my YouTube channel, it was for personal use. It wasn't for Dimrain47. And so that was just my personal YouTube account until finally, I think it's when I did At the Speed of Light, I was like, okay, I need to upload everything here. And for some stupid reason, I didn't make an official YouTube channel. I just uploaded everything onto the Superbane 2 channel. And then I get all these people on there like, "Oh, this guy's stealing Dimrain stuff. He's not Dimrain47," because my channel name didn't have anything to do with it. Luckily, YouTube changed it to where I could change like my title, but the URL is still Superbane 2. And so I guess those two names are kind of synonymous now, like Superbane 2 and Dimrain47. But I couldn't tell you where the name came from, man.
Next question is, what have you been up to these past 7 years?
Yeah, it's been a long time. So you're talking about since my last song release?
Yeah, The Falling Mists.
So originally I did have more planned for Dimrain47 after the Falling Mist. So as you so sneakily have discovered about everything about my life, I was in a couple of local bands, and that's pretty time consuming, and that's something that I'd never really done before. I was in band class in school growing up, but this was like a totally different music scene for me. And while I'm pretty into heavy metal, and I got the opportunity to play in a metal band and then another metal band, and that was really fun for me. I wasn't totally super serious about it, obviously. I was just making friends and just kind of absorbing this new experience. And that kind of took over after that whole At the Speed of Light, Duality, Falling Mists era of Dimrain47 music. I kind of transitioned into that, and I kind of forgot about Dimrain47 for a long time. I wasn't really active on YouTube. I kind of was just like, hey, that was a fun thing to do when I was in high school and early college, and now I'm kind of doing other stuff. And I was given piano lessons, and so I was very busy. Not to mention, I went back to school to finish my CS degree that I started right out of high school and then switched to music. And I was like, I kind of want to go back and get that. I kind of want the job security. Computer science is a much more
I mean, yeah.
lucrative degree than music. I mean, so it's like I need to go back and finish this. So that's a really brief description of what I did for 7 years. Other than that, I kind of settled down. I met my wife, and we've had our kids. I got married, and I'm just living the dad life right now, trying to make ends meet, working a 9 to 5 job. Yeah, that's pretty much brought us up to this point. And it's just been recently, right, that I've been somewhat
Yeah.
active on the internet. That was because it's a crazy story. My mom is like my biggest fan, besides you, of course, right? And you can actually see some of her comments on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
She's very pushy for me to get back into Dimrain stuff. And she's like, what if you just quit your job and just focused on it, 100% of the time? And, she's a dreamer. But so she's like, I found the CD that you made for me a long time ago. I'm talking a long time ago, like 15 years ago,
Oh.
and has a song on it that you've never released. And you probably know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? And so I popped the CD in, and it's the Disturbance. And I actually don't have the files for this song on FL Studio or anything.
Oh.
It only existed on this CD. She's like, you should put it up. And then I was like thinking about it. I'm like, no, because if I do that, people are going to be like, oh my God, he's alive. When's new music coming out? And like I said, that part of my life, at least then, was behind me. And so I'm like, you know what? And then I went and took a look at the speed of light on my YouTube channel, and I was like, it's got 5 million views. I think I should just go ahead and put it out. Make a Twitter account, just let people know that I'm alive. Try to get some communication going. They'd probably like to hear the song. And so that's what I did. I kind of updated everything, and then 10 months later, I guess here we are.
But yeah, that pretty much answers the next question, which was there any particular reason for you to go silent back in 2012? But since you already answered that, and you also answered the next question after that, which is what inspired you to come back in the first place. So let's skip to this question, which is that when did you first hear of Geometry Dash, and have you ever played it?
I've never played it. At the Speed of Light was out for a few years before it got crazy huge, and it got huge because of the game. And I'm kind of a lurker on my YouTube channel. Like, I would still kind of see comments. I get notifications on my phone. And so I kind of see whenever people pop in and leave a comment or whatever. And just all of a sudden, I was slammed with these notifications. And it was everybody talking about Geometry Dash or GD or Bloodbath or whichever one of those levels came first. And I was like, well, what is this, and why does my video have like 2 million views all of a sudden? And so I finally researched it, and I was like, oh, it's this like crazy psychedelic flashy game. I'm like, that's awesome. That's kind of the reason why I started writing music in the first place, because I was a Newgrounds nut. And I just loved playing the games on there, and I just heard some of the music, and I was like, man, I want to write some music for these games. That sounds like it'd be something to be pretty fun. So the fact that it was in Geometry Dash and that level became so huge was really what I was in it for since the very beginning. And have I played it? No, I've never played it. Like I said, if I'm too busy to do Dimrain, I'm too busy to play Geometry Dash. But it's funny because I have a younger cousin. A couple of years ago, he was on his iPad and he's sitting there, and I lean over to see what he's playing. He's freaking playing Geometry Dash, one of the levels that it was my music, and it was at the speed of light. And I was like, hey, did you know that I wrote the music for this level in this game? And he looks at me, he's like, yeah, right, dude. Like, okay, boomer. And I was like, no, seriously, I wrote this music. And to this day, he still doesn't believe me. He's like 10 years old now. Yeah.
Amazing.
He thought I was just, messing with him. But yeah, he'll find out one day, I guess. I had one student who found out about the whole Geometry Dash, Dimrain47 thing, and I show up to the piano lesson, and he's like, hey, it's the Geometry Dash guy. He's just messing with me, and I'm like, oh no, you didn't find out about that, did you? He's like, yeah, man, you're famous.
So the next questions are related to my video, the story of Dimrain47, which are that are there any piece of history that were left out of it, and did I get something wrong in it?
No, you did a really good job. Yeah, when you originally sent me these interview questions, this was the one that I had to go back and watch the video again, because there was nothing that really stuck out. You pretty much got everything. There's a lot of times in the video where you're like, oh, this is just speculation, but here's what I think happened. And God, I can't remember off the top of my head what they were, but you were mostly correct. Why did my name change? I can't remember. I can't remember if you came up with some sort of tinfoil hat conspiracy theory on why my
I
name
think I
changed.
didn't even say anything because like all the
Yeah,
theories I came up with, I just thought like, no clue. I just
you're just making shit up.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, you did a great job with the video, by the way. It was, I could tell that you put a lot of time into it, and
Yeah.
it was weird to see that video drop and be like, where did this come from? Like, how does this guy know everything about me? But then I could see that you just used your fancy schmancy Wayback Machine and
Yeah.
poked around my life like I'm in the Matrix or something.
I mean, to be honest, in like if I made it today, I'd like probably leave some details out. I mean,
No, honestly,
I
it
mean
doesn't
back
bother
then.
me.
Mm, I mean, back then I
Um,
still did leave some details out because like I thought that, okay, this is kind of like I got this through Wayback Machines, but I don't feel like it's so private that I can't share it, and it was once public. But like with all
that's
the
true. I mean, I had a fan write a letter. They got, my address and wrote a handwritten letter to me once. And that was just crazy because it's like a shock. It's like people want to, with the internet, they can find anybody
yeah,
nowadays. Uh, and that was kind of the first instance where I was like, oh, this is weird. Like
yeah,
this person that I don't know from India is writing me these handwritten letters. It's crazy.
yeah. That's really crazy. Let's move on to the next question, which is that are there any more unreleased songs from back in the day, like the Disturbance?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. So I had a really bad habit of sitting down and starting a new musical idea. Anybody who does any sort of artistic project that takes a lot of time can attest to the fact that when you're in the middle of it, sometimes you get overwhelmed and you kind of get that writer's block feeling. Like
Yeah.
if whether it's you're writing literature or working on some sort of art piece or working on a song, the writer's block is real, man. It's real. And so the thing is I don't like to write when it feels forced.
Mm.
Like I need to finish this song. Let me just force some ideas into it and see what happens. And that usually doesn't end very well. And I just wanna kind of write what's in me at the moment. And sometimes I would sit down and get into a song I've been working on for 20 hours and I'm just not feeling it. I'm like, man, my creativity is kind of dry on this particular track. So I would go and I would just start a brand new track, you know, and I probably have 20 or 30 of these things just kind of sitting on my hard drive. And eventually it got to the point where it's like, man, I got to pick something and I got to nail it down. And I got to get something out. I can't just sit here with half finished stuff on my computer. And eventually I'll get around to picking one and finally getting inspired, but it takes a long time, man. It takes a long time. And that's my biggest advice when it comes to writing music is just, I'm so eccentric with what I want to do. It's hard to predict how song development is going to work out.
Yeah. Hmm.
When I was first starting to write music, I just sat down and made some beeps and boops and thought it was cool sounding and uploaded it to Newgrounds. And that was the beginning. I didn't know anything about compressors or mastering or anything at all. And I still, barely scratched the surface with that kind of stuff. And to be honest, I didn't have a whole ton of theory knowledge when I first started out either. It wasn't until later in college when I was a music major that I actually really got deep into music theory.
Hmm.
In the early days of me writing Dimrain music, it was all by ear. It was I didn't even know the difference of like I would just place a note on the MIDI piano roll and just start placing them and listening back and seeing what sounded good and getting inspired and rolling with it. I didn't know anything about key signatures. Like I didn't really know much at all, and it was all by ear. And it just kind of if you got the natural talent,
Yeah.
something will happen. You don't have to have the greatest production quality or knowledge of theory. It's just go for it.
So, bringing to the questions, are you ever going to get back into music production and like, yeah, if you feel, are you ever going to release more songs?
So I'm on lockdown right now, and I don't mean with I don't mean with COVID, even though that's true. I mean just with my time schedule. Like I said, I have my 9 to 5. I got my 2 kids, which they're like a full-time job as well. And any free time I have, I'm usually sitting there dead on the couch, exhausted. Can't, you know, can't believe I'm still awake. Maybe watch an hour of Netflix at the end of the night or something with my wife. It's the only time we get to spend together. But I really want to, man. I really want to say that I can sit down and commit to that. I don't think right now is the time, but I do have a creative project that I am working on right now, and I can't really give you a whole lot of details, but it's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I wish I could tell you about it, but it's just not quite to the point of announcing it yet. But it's something that you wouldn't expect, I think, from me. And I think I'll just leave it at that. Maybe one day in the future we'll talk about this again once it's a more concrete idea.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Next question is, would you rather do music full time or stay at your current job? I mean, you kind of answered this already, but
Yeah. Music is tricky because it's so fun to do it, right? It's so fun to really push your creativity to the limits and then put something out and have someone just be like, "Oh my God, this is so great!" And that's such a good feeling, especially when I get stories from listeners, on comments or direct messages saying like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that your music was like a big part of my childhood, and you're like my biggest inspiration." And that's like really what it's all about, is just sharing your ideas and having it affect somebody in a positive way. And so if I could guarantee that I could live off of a music career, then I would do it in a heartbeat, just for that reason that I just mentioned. But unfortunately, that's not the case, as a lot of people know, right? The music scene is very competitive, and it takes a lot, if not more work than an actual 40-hour-a-week job. Because not only do you have to write the music, but you have to be your own kind of PR manager. You have to be, you got to run social media. It's a huge thing. Like, YouTubing, as you probably know, it takes a lot of work, right?
yeah, it does.
It's a passion, but it's work. It's work too. It's fun, but it can consume your life. And so I would love to work on music full time, but I just don't have the guarantee that it would work out, and I got mouths to feed.
So, next question is, what song did you enjoy making the most?
Man, it's hard to pick one. Which one did I enjoy making the most?
Or like just
I
enjoy in general?
Right. People ask me this all the time, like, what's my favorite Dimrain47 song? It's such a hard question to ask. It's like, I don't know. It's like asking me what my favorite band is or what my favorite fruit is. It's just like, it's not a solid answer, because I love everything. I think my favorite Dimrain47 song, if I had to nail it down, would be Jetstream. I think. I don't know why. I really like that one. I can't tell you why. It's just something, like, it's describing what your favorite fruit is to someone who's never had it or something. You just can't describe it. I just really like that one for whatever reason. For whatever reason, that's my favorite. Which one did I enjoy making the most? I don't think I can answer that, but they're all, when I listen to these songs, I'm kind of brought back to the time when I was sitting at my computer making them. And some of those times weren't good times. Like, maybe something wasn't going well in my life. And so when I listen to those songs, I kind of have negative reactions, if that makes sense. And then I have the songs where it was really good for me, or anything in between. So each song that I made has its own weird memory attached to it, which I think is pretty.
Who are your favorite musicians?
Man, I'm influenced by a lot of different musicians from a lot of different genres and time periods. I studied classical music in college, and I got really attached to a lot of different musicians from a long time ago. I played a lot of Mozart in my performance regiment when I was in college, when I was a music major. Played a lot of Mozart. I really love Debussy, Claude Debussy. I don't know if you're familiar with his
I know
his stuff. Beautiful stuff. He's probably my favorite classical. Well, he's not technically classical, but he's my favorite dead guy's music, I'd say. I listen to a lot of metal, European metal, because American metal sucks. Not all of it, but I love Children of Bodom. You probably know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands. I really, really like high energy symphonic type of music,
Oh.
especially in the European metal scene. I love techno, obviously, right? Rave music, video game music. I mean, I've been eating up a lot of video game music just in my, what free time I have on my piano. I'll print up some Zelda sheet music and go play it. And I mean, it's nostalgic for me too. But I could tell you my favorite Newgrounds musician,
Oh.
who was a huge inspiration on me in the very beginning, was Rage 6.
Oh.
He doesn't do music anymore, I don't think, but he was my absolute all-time favorite Newgrounds musician. He has a piece called Uber Rave. I listened to that song and then I wrote Infernoplex.
Oh.
It was like a direct influence. That song was like a direct influence on the Dimrain47 song Infernoplex.
Are you interested in making sequels to your older songs? Like, you know how a lot of people ask for At the Speed of Light 2 or like
Right.
Infernoplex 2.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I'm not sure if anything like that would ever work because I try to write my songs to end conclusively. So it sounds like, because I try to tell some sort of weird story. Like if you read my YouTube descriptions, some of the songs have like little stories to them, and more often than not, like when you see the sequel for a book or a movie, they suck, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love this movie. The sequel's coming out, and it's just terrible. And I would hate to do that. I would hate to do that to my listeners who are so loyal. Be like, oh yeah, guys, I'm coming out with At the Speed of Light 2, and here it is, and it's just total crap. Like, how disappointing would that be? I'd rather have an idea come out and fail on its own merits rather than being fail because it was expected to be so much better because it's a sequel of a really popular track, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So I don't know if I would ever do that. People ask for At the Speed of Light 2 all the time. Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'm gonna leave that one be. I would hate to ruin a good thing.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all the questions I have on my Google document, or like the ones that I sent you before. And I'll probably get this out in like a few weeks or so. I want to get another video out first because it's been like 6 months since I've last uploaded because of writer's block. But I want to get back, like do a huge comeback, like get some big videos out, this included. Yeah, do you have anything to say or anything to add?
You want me to talk more?
No, like, but like, do you have anything to like end it off?
I am alive. I'm alive. I didn't die. I don't have new music coming out right now. It's very possible that I could dig up some old stuff and see what I can do from the past. Or maybe, I don't know, people just want to see new stuff. And I want to give it to them, but I also don't want to put out incomplete work. I got to figure out what I'm going to do. But I do have Twitter. I do have Facebook. I do have YouTube. And I do look at all the comments every day. I don't always write back. I might put like a little heart or like on something if it tickles my fancy or whatever. But if people want to get in contact with me, I would say Twitter is probably the best place. Just look me up and shoot me a message and I'll say hi.
Thank you again, and I'll see you.
Cool, man. Thanks a lot for having me.